We're a proud business in Maryland Heights, right? KTRS.
And yes, you are a very proud business. We're happy to have you.
All right, good. Now you are here to talk about this story that broke over the last couple of days that Stan Kroenke is out and not going to be a part of any type of Maryland Heights development in that sort of basin of the Page Avenue extension over there. Was it Kroenke's decision to pull out? Or was it Maryland Heights' decision not get into business with Stan Kroenke?
I would probably put that more in the Kroenke category. I mean, certainly the city had a lot of decisions to make on to try to meet their vision for what they saw for development in that Lake District area.
Right.
But Stan Kroenke, certainly their business people, their developers, there was absolutely no development that was going to occur in a near-term basis, so Stan Kroenke and his folks just pulled out for the time being.
They give a reason why?
Well,
no.
A lot of people scratch their heads and say, why would a town want to do business with a man who just took the football team to some other place?
And that's a complicated situation because everyone has a right to develop. If they own the property and they were to come forward with a development, you can't deny them just because of who they are. You certainly can, go into dealings with them with your eyes wide open and making sure that you have everything covered and you make sure you do a deal properly. But when somebody has property and they own it, they have certain rights that you just can't deny.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this development in the floodplain. Maryland Heights has been criticized, one, for the Kroenke, even talking to the man, even acknowledging the man exists. But more importantly, developing in a floodplain has garnered a lot of criticism because we're just pushing the water some other place. And so floodplains are floodplains for a reason. Why do we want to develop another floodplain and make it more difficult other places along the river?
I think one thing that needs to be cleared up right from the beginning, it's not a floodplain.
Oh.
FEMA had declared this out of the floodplain district back in 2006. They reaffirmed that again with another map revision in 2015. So this area is not in a floodplain district.
Now, with that being said, I bought a house that was not in a floodplain, and last December it flooded. So it's kind of an interesting point. What's a floodplain? What isn't a floodplain?
Right. And that's true. And no matter where you are in the country or in the St. Louis area, there are certainly areas that are prone to flooding. But it doesn't make this particular property, in that position. Again, that levee was built in 2004, so any risk or any concerns about flooding from the river, from the Missouri River, has really been lost. That's no longer in place anymore. The situation that we have within this particular Lake District area, which is about 2,000 acres, is that we have internal flooding due to the storm water and rain events that occur. It's only because there's a lack of infrastructure that actually allows that water to be released properly. Once all of that's in place, and that property becomes very developable property and very desirable for a number of different types of uses.
If that levee wasn't there, would it be a floodplain?
That would probably be a question for FEMA, but I would have to wager yes.
Right.
The levee is what protects that area. It's certified.
Right. I mean, but the fact that it's no longer a floodplain because we man-made it not a floodplain, right? I mean, is that the argument people are complaining about?
And that's typical all up and down the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers. Whether you're in Chesterfield or whether you're up in, St. Charles area. Anywhere along those riverbanks, levees have been built and they've been very successful, but that would probably be the case for many, many cities that are up and down the rivers.
The news yesterday that Maryland Heights wants to what was the news yesterday? It was more or less of like, we're going to go in a different direction. We're sort of reopening this up to see what we want to do.
Yeah, the news yesterday or the day before when we had our workshop on Tuesday night, it was basically just to present to City Council and our planning commissions and the public. Here's the position that we're in. We went out for requests for proposals back in the early part of this year. We got a number of proposals in of interested developers. One of those being the Alan Bornstein, Stan Kroenke connection.
Right.
None of those panned out. None of those had a development that was ready to move forward. None of those were ready to bring something that met our vision for the city. So what we announced was we're going to take a step back. Instead of letting the developers drive what goes into this area, we're going to actually take a more proactive stance, and we're going to look at the infrastructure needs. We're going to look at our conceptual plans, and we're going to design a project that is very, very sensitive to the area. It complements the other uses in the area, and something that's going to make Maryland Heights and the area very proud. It'll be something unique, and then we'll market that to the developers once we get that plan in place.
Jim Kresge, our guest, city administrator for Maryland Heights. It's been often said on the show that communities here in St. Louis and in the St. Louis metropolitan area would rather have a business development than a residential development. Is that true? Is that possible?
It depends. Every city would be different. Certainly you need high quality and diverse housing within your city limits, and
right.
For Maryland Heights, that's something that we're absolutely looking into. We'd love to see some new residential housing products come into the city. I think that would be great for us. But at the end of the day, the businesses are what helps produce taxes for our school districts and fire districts and other agencies. So when it comes to paying the bills, your businesses are your better choice. But at the end of the day, you have to have, like anything, a good variety, a good mix to make yourself successful.
I'm sorry, Kelly. If the city makes more money off the business, right? I mean, you're stealing one business from another. That's the argument with all this. You're stealing from St. Charles. You're stealing from Clayton. You're stealing from Creve Coeur. Whereas, what are we creating other than just stealing business from the next town over?
And I don't know if I would put it in that sense at all. I mean, that would be maybe on a retail perspective, that maybe you're taking a target from one area and moving it into another area. And I can see where there would be questions with regards to that. But when an area is growing and there's more needs to be supplied to the marketplace, you're just supplementing what's already there. What we're looking at in the Lake District is not primarily a retail type area. It's going to be a mixed use development. It's going to include some residential uses. It'll include office uses. It'll include some residential. Certainly it's going to include any sort of hospitality, entertainment, and recreational type uses as well. So we're not looking to steal from any other community. We're not looking to hurt any other community. The healthier that we all are, the better it is for all of us. So we're looking, and that's why we took that step back. We're looking to develop something unique to this area, something that's going to be a complement to what's already here, and something that will be unique and last for years to come. We're not looking at your typical strip mall. We're looking at something that will complement what's already in that area, which is a diverse, recreational use, and try to bring something unique to the area.
Jim Kresge, our guest, city administrator for Maryland Heights. Last question for you. KTRS is investing in its current business, building new studios out at Westport. Worldwide Technologies just got a huge tax incentives to build their world headquarters there. KTRS's world headquarters is already there. We're building new studios. Can we get some type of tax abatements and tax benefits from the great city of Maryland Heights?
You know what? If you'd like to come in and talk to us and put together a plan, we'll be happy to consider it for you. We love KTRS being in our city, and whatever we can do to help you out and make sure you're successful, like whether you're Worldwide Technology, Edward Jones, or KTRS, we're happy to help anyone.
Jim Kresge, city administrator.
Like you just started the negotiations.
It looks like, we want it all, baby. We want it all. We'll start at $1 billion and we'll go from there. Yeah. Jim Kresge, city administrator with Maryland Heights. Thanks for coming in and answering the questions.
And thanks for having me.
You got it. 728 here, Big 550.